Hello, and welcome to another glass of Cava with me, Sandy. Today we are going abroad, and she's a writer, and she's written the most wonderful book called Forays in France. And just have a look at the cover. The cover was designed by her daughter, and she's got three daughters, and they're all redheads. But Alison Lew, designed the cover of Forays in France, which is IRVINA Lew's book. We're going to meet IRVINA. She specializes in writing about restaurants, hotels, travel, speaks to chefs, and she's been doing it for many years. And she's been a girlfriend for many years. And if you want to go to France, I want to tell you, this is a book that needs to be on your coffee table because you want to know everything that's in it. So, without more from me, let's meet IRVINA. Well, now I've got my girlfriend, IRVINA Lew. Hello, IRVINA. How are you?
Happy New Year. It's so wonderful to see you.
My goodness me, it is a new year, and now it is a glass of cava. It's no more a cup of coffee.
Voila. Et
Well,
voilà.
there you are. And salute.
Salut. Salut.
Salute.
It's got to be 5 o'clock somewhere, although it's not quite drinking time here in New
Well, you
York.
know, it's always drinking time with cava. In New York, you would have 11 o'clock.
Absolutely. And the 11s is in England, can have a little cava too. And in France and in Italy, my friend used to go out at 9 o'clock and step up to the bar and have a little sip. Not a terrible thing.
There is no time set for cava, but I
Excuse me a
open.
minute. Before you continue, you look so French and so joyful. And that brooch, is it a mask? It's so beautiful.
Well, this is Cassandra, okay, or Cassandra, however you want to pronounce it. A girlfriend of mine in Barcelona. I happened to meet her, and she makes these brooches, necklaces, wall hangings, and she sent this to me as my Cassandra, although my name is not Cassandra, and I just love her. And I thought I must put her on because I'm going to be talking France with you.
That's right. And it's wonderful. Is it ceramic? What is the mask, the
It
face?
is made, it's handmade, ceramic, hand painted, and it actually has got a clip at the back and it holds on. And if you fall off me today, I will not be happy because you've been so good up to now. Anyway, I love her. She's beautiful, but thank you for asking. But I thought, okay, I will be very French.
It is. You're more French than I. I'm wearing denim. What can I tell you?
Can't see that you're wearing denim. Yeah, I can just see the gold, and that's enough for me. Now, you have written a book that I absolutely adore,
Thank
and
you.
it is called Forays in France, which you know. And my first question, thank you. Oh,
Yes,
yes.
I love it.
And
I'm
it
so
is
happy.
your wonderful daughter who, Alison, who
Yes, my
made
eldest
you.
daughter is a graphic artist and she designed it and we are going to celebrate the design in Paris next month. So we're going together for the first time since 1988 when we weren't together, but we did hook up and have a meal together. So it's our first trip together in Paris and I'm very much she wanted to go with me and I'm very honored about that.
Well, this is to Alison because I love the cover.
Well, you're not alone, and she did a wonderful job, but thank you for commenting on it. I'm glad you like it.
Love it, but I love your book. Now, I know that you've been going to France for many, many years because when Bob, your late husband, was alive and you were still a school teacher teaching French and Spanish,
Right?
school holidays, you and Bob used to get on board a flight, go to France. You used to see where you could do an article on this little restaurant, do an article on this spa, and Bob used to take the photographs. And sadly, Bob left us, but he left us with you. And you now not only write, you also take the photos.
Yeah, not quite as well as he did. But, I lured Bob to France. He was a sailor, and we moved here to have a boat in the backyard and all the rest. But I got him to France on a barge cruise, on a riverboat cruise. And then a friend of mine told me about the Windstar cruises in the Mediterranean, which are sailing ships. Well, first of all, they go from, Barcelona to Rome throughout the south of France. So we did all of those water-based trips, and he fell in love with France. We didn't have enough time in France together, but it was the best time of our marriage, where those trips together where, and very often he drove, and except when we would go out in the morning and I would drive and he would sit in the front seat with this camera and he'd say, stop, stop, stop here. And he would get the right lighting in the vineyards. And oh my God, we had such a wonderful, wonderful trips together. They're great memories.
Your love of Paris and France came from because you went to the Sorbonne and you learned French and then you were teaching in French. So France is nearly like your second home,
It
but
is.
you've always been interested in food. You've always been interested in wine. You've always been interested in spas and anything that is fun and wonderful for the soul. Tell
Well,
me more about it.
Well, you know that when I was a kid and I went to Paris, I wasn't quite a foodie at that time. In fact, a lot of the foods that I encountered sort of a little bit scared me. I was afraid to eat a burger because this is in 1958. I was 19 years old, and it was a culture shock at that time. I wouldn't go near things like escargot or foie gras. And I was very, very happy with coq au vin and the wonderful ham and cheese sandwiches that they put on a baguette and the crepe. And I sort of, inch by inch, I was there for 3 months in the summer. And inch by inch, I got a little bit more comfortable with trying different dishes, and it was quite a wonderful experience. And of course, I got married very 6 weeks later, and then had children. And I didn't get back to Paris for a few years until after Jenny was born. And then I just tried to make my way back as often as possible. And when I became a travel writer, France was my number one favorite destination. And as I say, I got Bob to join me there. But I've been going to France for more than 60 years. And for the last number of years, well, I go to Paris very regularly. But for the last, I would say since 2008, with the exception of a couple of years during COVID, I've been renting an apartment on the Riviera, uh, near Cannes in Juan-les-Pins, but now with my friend in Cannes for a number of years, the same apartment. And I only can get there for 3 weeks or a little less, but it's wonderful. And I feel very much at home going to the market and buying the fresh food and going, even getting food to bring into the house, as well as all the little restaurants on the side streets. And of course, we go to the special restaurants. Do you want to hear about some?
Yes, please. And also some of the chefs that you have
Well,
interviewed. I know that Alain Ducasse, you
he
have.
is he is my favorite French chef. And Alain Ducasse, I've been to in his restaurants, even in St. Petersburg and in Hong Kong. But in the south of France, the best is, of course, Louis Cannes in Monte Carlo, which isn't France, I know, but I think of it as France because even though it's a separate country, I always go there when I'm on the Riviera. And Louis Cannes is just, if you have to have one meal in one special place in your life, that's the restaurant. It's just superb. And but another chef that I love, and I loved meeting him at and I'm sure you've been here, the Hotel du Cap d'Antibes, Eden
Oh,
Rock.
yes. Oh, yes. When
Well,
I used to go to the film festivals, I always made a trip there and very special to me. What did you eat uh in um
at Atlanta,
Ducane's? Yeah.
in, well,
What is your favorite?
Well, the funny thing is that my favorite food in the south of France is niçoise salad, which is a silly thing. But I love it and I make it at home because we have fresh tuna on Long Island and I make it in the niçoise way with boiled potatoes and green beans and niçoise olives, which I buy online. And I and fresh tomatoes from my garden when I'm lucky. We have to wait until August for my garden. But I love that. But the other thing I love are the little langoustine from the Mediterranean in garlic oil. And I also eat and I love it. There's a restaurant right next to the Martinez called Vesuvio. It's right on the Croisette. And
I know it.
you know it. A
I
clam, I eat a linguine and clam sauce because it's so Italian-esque. That whole region, Nice, of course, was Italy until like the mid 1800s. And so there are many, many Italian people and Italian chefs on the Mediterranean coast. And I love linguine and clam sauce. But I wanted to tell you about Olivier Gaiato, who was the executive chef at Eden Rock, at Hotel Cap d'Antibes Eden Rock. But then the next time, and it was fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. And he took me into his kitchen and I did a big interview with him in French, which practiced the questions even. I looked up words and everything, but I did it in French. And then Olivier has his own restaurant and it's in Vieux Antibes, which of course is, just a hop, skip, and an Uber ride from Cannes. And it's called Le Safranier, Safranier. And it's in an old house in a charming little square. And the pastry chef from Hotel du Cap d'Antibes has the building next door. And he has sort of a lighter menu. And he went into business for himself too. So if you've ever seen people who, after the stress of the most luxurious hotel where you're constantly and then he owns his own little business. I mean, the man looked like 10 years younger and had the biggest grin on his face because he's doing what he wants to do for his own clientele. And it's a beautiful thing to see. So I like Olivier Gaiato. There are a lot. And I always go, and I'm sure you've been here. I love to go up to Saint Paul de Vence to Colombe d'Or.
Column d'Or.
Right. Which is a museum with the Matisse and the Picasso and the Calder sculpture by the swimming pool. And
We've both been there. We've both eaten there. We've seen the beautiful artwork on the walls and
one,
know that those artists used to eat there, put their paintings on the walls because they didn't have money to pay for the food. And
exactly, exactly.
that's how they became famous.
And
So
the first owner who opened the restaurant was a friend of Picasso and Chagall and all of these artists, and he himself was an artist. So they had like their little salon, so to speak, their favorite restaurant. And Picasso loved the place. He traded a painting, I think, for a chicken dish or something. I mean, it's quite the spot.
now you have got a lovely recipe that I've seen on in your book on page 43 to 48.
That's so funny because I was just checking the onion tart recipe before you called. You know, Alain Passard in Paris is at Arpège. And
Yes.
my your best friend, my sister's granddaughter, Lindsay, and I ate there. I ate there with Bob once, and I ate this onion tart. Dreamt about it for years. Last year in November, when Lindsay and I were in Paris, we went to Arpège for their multi-course vegetarian lunch. He's practically totally vegetarian, vegetables, and he owns his own farm. But he sent me, I actually wrote a letter in an envelope, and I got this response. It is so simple to make. It's just caramelized. We have Vidalia onions here in the States from Georgia. I don't know where your best sweet onions come from in Spain, but it's caramelized in butter and sautéed, not crisp. And you can just put it into a little ceramic dish and with Parmesan on top and broil it. But if you make it for with Cava, you can put it on a puff pastry, and you do a square of puff pastry, and you spread the onions on top of the puff pastry, cooked. Put the puff pastry in the oven with the sprinkle Parmesan on top, and bake it for 12, 14 minutes, however long it takes for the puff pastry, and then cut it into squares. It is the most wonderful apéro. Apéro is an aperitif. We have it
Aperitif. Yes.
right. And it's a wonderful little hors d'oeuvre. And of course, it's for me, it's a meal better than pizza, I just love it. But Alain Passard is one of the great three-star Michelin chefs in France. And he knocked the socks off the food world when he decided to go vegetarian. And
What?
but
When
he's
did
been
he do that?
like in 96, way before anybody had ever heard of vegetarian food or vegetarian restaurants, especially Michelin star vegetarian restaurants.
That's a real coup.
It
Um,
took a lot of courage to do.
Absolutely. And I'm sure today his restaurant is full all the
Oh,
time because so many people have gone vegetarian, the same as so many people have gone non-alcoholic,
right.
non-alcohol. Uh, I had a tupper with a few friends here, like 16 friends, and I had one bottle of Cava that was non-alcoholic,
Oh,
and
and it was
and everybody wanted to drink that.
and is
And
that a Spanish cava from outside
yeah,
Barcelona?
yes, and
Yeah,
it's absolutely beautiful. But I was so surprised. I had so many bottles of regular Cava, and nobody was driving. Everybody was from where I live,
right.
and but they were all asking. It's the only time I've been embarrassed that I've run out of
A bottle.
a bottle. And
Isn't
yet I
that
had all the other bottles. So another neighbor brought me in 3 bottles and said, when you do something like that again, here you've got it. And I said, it was too much work. I'd rather do a full meal.
yes,
Anyway,
it's a lot of work. That's a lot of
lot of work.
but the other
Now,
part alone is a lovely thing.
if you had to choose a restaurant that is inexpensive, like the one around the corner from the Martinez. You can go with few dollars, few euros, few pounds, and you have found little places, and then you can stay also in little B&Bs and then go and have one splash out meal,
But
which is
that's
what you and your friend do.
we do that in the south of France. But let me tell you a restaurant in Paris that is right near the Sorbonne, and the owners, a husband and wife couple, were chefs with who worked for Alain Ducasse for 8 years. And my daughter Sharon, my second daughter, told me about this restaurant, and I've eaten there every time I'm in Paris since then. It's called Le Perraudin, Perraudin. It's a little bistro. I like their foie gras, but Valerie has had snails. Last year I went back, but I can't tell you the exact price, but it's probably $35 for a meal, something like that, and which is not a lot. And I've gone for lunch. I've also gone for dinner. And this time when we go back, I've just learned about something that I never knew of before, and they're called bouillon, like bouillon for a soup, like Bouillon. And there's the bouillon République, bouillon Pigalle, bouillon uh, Julien, and one called Pharamond in Saint-Germain, where I definitely am going to go. And these places, you can have a full three-course meal, like for less than 30 euro. And they're very Belle Epoque and beautiful and very, very reasonably priced. They're like the Bouchon in Lyon, which were originally done for workers.
Correct.
And and now they're not fancy. They're not haute gastronomy. It's not Joël Robuchon type of a place or Passard or Michel Rostand, and Michel Rostand retired, but his daughters still have Le Train Bleu in the train station and Desirier and a few others. So I mean, but Le Paradin is reasonable and delicious.
Now, you mentioned that you could eat there for 30 euros or $30, whatever, or £30. When you go, not you, maybe you go as a guest, but if somebody is going to a very good restaurant, three Michelin star, how much would an evening without wine cost
Well,
today?
I did lunch at Pierre Gagnère last year, three-star Michelin in the Hotel Balzac, right near the Champs-Élysées. The was about 195 euros, and so was the arpège, was about 200 without wine and without a tip and without tax, because the French have their tax. But today I looked up what it would cost to eat at Le Maurice Ducasse in Paris, and the fixed price is 375 euros for dinner. So they're really up there. Now, a couple of years ago, I ate inside La Réserve Hotel, and they had a fixed price, Michelin, two Michelin stars he has now, but they had a Michelin star lunch. And at that time, it was maybe 75 euros or something for maybe two courses, maybe three, I'm not sure, but it was well under $100. And if you research, you have to Google to see who's doing what now, but there are some, usually one Michelin star place, which will be doing a fixed price lunch that's, let's say, under 100 euro, which is geared toward this business clientele who wouldn't otherwise come but go out for nice lunches. So they do these special lunches to attract the business clientele. And they're wonderful bargains when you think about it, because first of all, at lunch you might have one glass of wine, whereas dinner you might have two and sometimes something after dinner. And so that's right away cheaper. And the lunch prices are much cheaper than dinner. So I try, if I'm paying for a fancy meal, to do it at lunch.
Uh-huh, uh-huh. And what about the tipping? Because I heard yesterday that there is a big scandal in Holland about tipping, that it's not all over Holland, it's one section, and I can't tell you which section it is. I can't remember. Uh, on your bill, it's for tips either 10%, 20%, or 30%. And you choose how much, but they are actually putting it on the bill. And if you don't want to give a tip, there is a no. And this area is in an uproar because how can you tell people what they have got to give? And in any case, does it go to all the staff? Does it go to the kitchen staff?
Yeah, we don't
Or
know. And
this is it.
I see that in the United States now, but it's up to like 22%, or the tip will be, you'll see a 20% and then it'll say, would you like to leave a 3% extra or something, which might just be a few dollars, but it could add up. In France, it's served, usually you will see on the bill the tax which you must have. And then there's a service included. And usually you would add to that when you get up a few euros or up to 10%. In a cafe, maybe you'll leave an extra euro, for lunch. If it's 18, you might leave 20. You just give a couple of euro extra. But more and more, you're seeing a 10% tip that you would leave after the service inclus. And not everybody does it. It's not mandatory, but I think that they're appreciating it.
The one thing that we haven't covered, which we are going to do very quickly, is you love spas. You've been to many. And what do you recommend for somebody going to either to Paris or to the south of France? Spas that are reasonable, spas that are magnificent, spas that actually give you a glass when you walk in.
Well, in the Loire Valley and outside Bordeaux, you probably have heard of the brand Caudalie. And there's a source to Caudalie outside of Bordeaux. And it's vinotherapy because it's on a vineyard, and the owner, who was a ski champion, and Jean-Claude Killy, the famous ski champion, told them about this vineyard, and they bought it. And then they found, walking through the vineyard, that all of the grape stems and the skins of the grape were piled up for rubbish, for fertilizer. And the scientist said that's the best part that's all the vitamin D in the grapes. And the family developed, using the skins of the grapes, they developed vinotherapy and made it famous. But there you would go into a wine barrel bath and you would have your massages, and there's an indoor pool. And the spas themselves are not crazy expensive. And we went to
What's not crazy expensive while you're thinking about?
120 to 150 for a massage is not crazy expensive. There are hotels where a massage could be 300, or a facial could be 300, 350, which I consider crazy expensive.
Me
Um,
too.
in my little town, you pay $120 for a massage. You're lucky if you can find somebody for 80 euros, but $80 sometimes. But I can't give you the prices offhand, but they're all online. But Caudalie comes to mind. Now in Paris, I absolutely loved a facial at the Relais Christine because it's in there. It's like It's like an ancient cave underneath the hotel that was a monastery at one time or something, and they turned it into this Guerlain spa. So I don't know the prices. I was hosted for that facial. And by the way, I was on the table not realizing that the service was like for 2 hours. And I missed a concert at Sainte-Chapelle. I said, I am not getting off this table for all the concerts in the universe. And I said nothing and just I was just smiled at a facial and a massage on the same. It was just incredible. But it's probably quite expensive. I don't know reasonable in Paris. I know there are plenty of day spas, but the hotel spas are usually uh
They're
pricey.
good. They're good and they're pricey. You
And
you
by the
and
way,
your
they're
book.
good
Yeah.
enough to have a facial with a stranger because I'll let anybody give me a massage. I really don't care. I just close my eyes and smile.
And think of
But
the
I'm
next
very
glass of cava
fussy.
that you're going to drink.
Yes, but I'm very fussy about where somebody gives you a facial because you can damage your face, you can be scarred. So
I
I'm
want to tell you that your book is an encyclopedia. You are an encyclopedia of everything to do with food, wine, drink, eat, stay, travel. And
and thanks
for
to my
me,
friend Valerie, a little shopping.
oh, I forgot about that. That's extra. That's another program. But as far as I'm concerned,
Yeah.
your book is a coffee table book and also an encyclopedia.
Well,
And
that
I want to say thank you for sharing all your knowledge, all your experiences. And when you go back next month, the first glass of cava, I say to you, enjoy, make the most of it, and lovely to see you. Thank you for being my guest on Glass of Cava. And send me a WhatsApp with a photograph of
I said,
you drinking a glass.
I promise I will. And it'll
And
be with Allison. Love
take
you.
care.
Thank
God
you for
bless.
having me.
Thank
Mwah.
you. Lots
Besos.
of love.
Besos.
Besos. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
Well, to my guests, I say, I'm sure that you got a lot of knowledge from IRVINA LEW. Her book is Forays in France. In the meantime, I never know who my next guest is going to be, but look on my YouTube, which is at Sandy K 9424. And if you want to get hold of IRVINA, she has got a website as well. And all you've got to look for is IRVINA LEW, IRVINA LEW. Take care. God bless. See you soon. Bye bye for now.